Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Stalingrad, the legendary tier Russian large cruiser that you can obtain for 2 million global XP. Now, before I get started, I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't think that the Stalingrad is worth 2 million global XP. Now, when I say it's not worth the global, it's not because the ship is bad by any means, but mainly that there are other ships that can essentially do what the Stalingrad can and can also do it better. The main ship I will compare the Stalingrad to is obviously the Alaska. Now, the only thing I think Stalingrad does better than Alaska is that the AP can Citadel ships like Yamato much further away. But other than that, the Alaska can basically do what Stalingrad can, but it also has HE, it also has sonar. Alaska has an improved heal, and also one more than the Stalingrad does. Basically, the utility that the Alaska brings is just so much more than Stalingrad. And on top of this, a ship like Des Moines now exists, where its DPM just simply dumpsters, and basically you will probably do a lot better in a Des Moines than you would in an Alaska or a Stalingrad. Stalingrad only having armor-piercing shells does limit what this ship can do, and it's totally reliant on ships sailing broadside. If any intelligent player angles in, they can pretty much bounce all of your AP. Having to fight a Yamato or any battleship bout in, you can really only shoot at their superstructure. You might be able to do some decent damage against battleships that way, but then when it comes to cruisers that angle in towards you, you can only really overmatch one cruiser at the tier, which is the Minotaur. However, everything else, if they simply angle towards you, you will be forced to try and hit their superstructure, which is much smaller than a battleship. And, well, cruisers at Legendary tier currently pretty much have the DPM to basically dumpster any of the large cruisers. One of the games I played in Colbert, I did push right up in front of a Stalingrad, and using my front guns and HE, I basically just shot the Stalingrad's superstructure, getting pens, starting fires, all the while Stalingrad was forced to shoot at my superstructure while he was getting overpens, and before the Stalingrad was able to deal a whole lot of damage, I pretty much killed him off. Well, basically now to recap on why I think the Stalingrad isn't worth the 2 million global. One, there are other legendary tier cruisers that can do what Stalingrad can, but also do it better. Stalingrad doesn't have HE, and well, Stalingrad was also nerfed about a year ago. And really the biggest point is that Des Moines exists, and there's really not a reason to even play Alaska or any of the other legendary tier cruisers because Des Moines is just that good. Anyway, moving on to the game. I do have a AP damage build on my Stalingrad, so my AP alpha is somewhere in the 9,000 range. The main reason I build for AP is the fact that, well, Stalingrad doesn't have HE, so whenever I do catch a destroyer with my radar, I am forced to shoot at it with AP, and most of the time it's overpens, which normally would deal around 880 damage. That little bit of extra damage does go a long way, especially when it comes to shooting at destroyers. Not having HE and being forced to only get overpens, I am trying to deal as much damage as possible for the duration of my radar. Unfortunately, after radaring the Shimakaze, our friendly cop who was sitting at the island waiting to ambush a radar cruiser does get dev struck by Shimatorps. And now really our one effective way of killing off their Shima is now dead. This Colbert is just simply farming from max range. He is kiting away, and we are probably gonna struggle to deal any sort of damage to him because he is covered in 32 millimeters of plating. I do take a salvo trying to hit his superstructure, but I do end up citadeling the Colbert. If I had to guess, I would assume one of these shells somehow found its way into the little square on the stern of the Colbert's booty and probably sitted out it that way, or if anything, it penned some part of the stern and then overmatched the Citadel deck, or probably ricocheted off of one of the turrets down into the Citadel. I don't really know. Considering that the Colbert is covered in 32 millimeters of armor, there's really no way that any of the shells should have Citadeled him, especially since he was angled that much. With all of the enemy ships now behind islands and I am still spotted, I am assuming that the Shimakaze is somewhere nearby. I go unspotted for a split second, so I think he has just passed this small island. My assumption is correct, and well, I do catch him in my radar, but unfortunately he is behind the island, so I won't be able to shoot at him. I do call target on him because we have 3 friendly battleships nearby. One of them definitely can shoot at him, although he is probably going to go down to those Shimatorps. He does end up dying, and looking at the minimap we can see that the other flank has collapsed. And with all of our battleships hiding behind islands, nothing is really going to stop them from pushing us and then gaining map control for a crossfire. So now it's time to reposition, especially because those ships on the border of the map are also all behind islands and really probably won't get spotted. So far, the enemy team on the left side has been playing extremely passive behind those islands, so there's no reason to try and wait for them because we are just simply wasting time. Pushing over to the other flank at least allows us to try and slow down the other flank from simply steamrolling us into a corner. Also, being able to push to the other flank, it does give us central positioning, which means that we can pretty much shoot at everything on the entire map. If you look at the minimap, you can see at least our firing range can reach both ends of the edges of the map. Being in the middle of the map and having range to reach either the left or right flank, it does allow us to be more effective, especially with how passive the entire enemy team has been playing. The Montana on the left flank does start pushing out and, well, being in the middle of the map and this firing range on the Stalingrad, it does allow us to shoot at the enemy Montana. He is sailing broadside, and well, Stalingrad can definitely citadel him at this range, or at least cause some huge chunks of damage. He goes unspotted for a second while he is behind those islands, and we do get only 2 pens. He is pretty much the only ship that is spotted, so we're just going to go ahead and keep farming him. The 2 enemy battleships on the right flank are Yamatos, and they haven't exactly pushed anywhere, and they are still unspotted. Not really sure where they are, but since they are unspotted and we're not getting shot at by them, it is giving us a lot of wiggle room here to just simply focus on this Montana. One of the Yamatos do get spotted, and well, he is so far away and out of position he can't actually shoot at any of our team, which is very fortunate. Based on his position on the minimap, it seems like he is going to start pushing that right flank, so I do start heading that way once again, and I leave the Montana since he is behind the island. Luckily, as I start pushing forward, there are some Shimatorps here that get spotted, and well, luckily I am able to dodge. His third set shows up, I slow down and turn in, barely dodging this torpedo. I do use my radar, however I am not actually using any sort of concealment on this build, so I don't have anywhere near a stealth radar. My detection is 13 kilometers, and using the radar, he is pretty much far beyond the range, and well, he doesn't actually get spotted. Now, the best thing I can do is simply stay about in towards where my RPF is pointing, because that is where the destroyer is. Both of the battleships on the right flank do end up getting spotted, and they are actually just sitting there where they were last spotted, So now we just simply start focusing these cruisers that are kiting around the back of their spawn. We do have a friendly Colbert in front of us trying to chase down the enemy Shima. He is requesting for some intelligence data because he wants to know where the Shima is, possibly because he has his engine boost and he can definitely chase down the Shima. As I ping the map to where my RPF is pointing, the Colbert does point his ship directly to where I pinged, so we know that he is actually trying to chase him down. Now, something you notice is that the RPF does flip to the right, and something else you'll notice is that the Colbert turns to the right as well, mostly because he is probably unspotted right now, so he knows the Shima has went to the right, and based on where these torpedoes are coming from, he is definitely behind the islands. The enemy Colbert in their spawn did make a huge mistake and started his turn to turn around before he went unspotted. The Colbert's rudder shift is pretty bad, so either he tried to turn back out and his rudder was too slow, or he simply committed to the turn. Either way, he was double citadel and killed off. Our friendly Colbert, who was chasing down the Shima and had pretty much understood what him being unspotted meant, and going to the outside, he's actually able to catch the enemy Shima, and he does end up dev striking him. Now the Yamato that was sitting in their spawn is pushing forward and giving us a bit of cheek, so that is what we are aiming for, and we are able to double citadel him. Now the Yamato can definitely overmatch our big bow, and he does end up chunking us for quite a bit of our HP. We fire another salvo, hoping to hit his cheek, but we only do end up getting one citadel and one pen, everything else missed. Now, the second Yamato is spotted reversing broadside to us, so we are going to do our best to stay angled to the Yamato in front of us, and as soon as we have a shot, we fire at the other broadside Yamato, and we're actually able to kill him off. Now, this enemy Yamato is pretty much still sailing broadside, and well, you don't really want to be broadside to a cruiser that can definitely citadel you. I fire a salvo, and I get 6 citadels dev striking that Yamato. Now all that's left is this enemy Worcester that is kiting at the back of the map. I take aim, I shoot, we're at 4 kills, and picking up this kill would mean a Kraken, but the shells land short. This isn't the bug, he actually turned out and then turned back in, so he was actually further away. But those shells did end up landing short and missing. My guns end up loading again. I fire, hoping to kill him off. My rear turret dispersion is just horrible, and the Conqueror's shells get there before mine does anyway. In this game, I was able to do 217,000 damage, 4 kills, and 3,400 base XP. Definitely one of my better performances in Stalingrad, and if I do say so, this is a carry. The next highest XP score is less than 2,000, and then the next person I basically double his XP score. Now my commander build, like I was saying, I use an AP build. I am using Nikolai Kuznetsov as my commander. You can get away with using Ivan B. Delightful, but I just simply don't play cruisers as much, and didn't feel like putting any resources into that commander. I am using Gunther Lutyens for AP damage and then Norman Scott to increase the Sigma value, just so that my guns are a little more consistent. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, or leave a comment down below for any other ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.